Hello and welcome to a special BBM conversation this evening. My name is Coach Raphael Otraseng. Now, the Nigerian Senate just passed a new election law, but said no to making INEC upload results online in real time. Rather, the House says INEC can conduct elections at the latter's discretion. Now, they claim it is not a rejection, but many say this opens the door for rigging in 2027, just like 2023 problems. And now, with new INEC chairman, Professor Joash Amupitan, promising fair polls, will things get better or worse? Joining us is Dr. Moses Anongu, chairman of Coalition for the Protection of Democracy, CAPDEM in Benue State, ADC State Organizing Secretary, and Director of Mobilization for Civil Societies and Progressive Engagement in the state. Now, his frontline fight for democracy makes him perfect to decode this seismic shift. You're welcome, Dr. Anungu.
Thank you very much, my friend Tochukwu.
All right. How is Benue State this night?
Well, we thank God for everything. Benue State is cool, but then on a sad note, we are mourning our fellow brothers and sisters from the axis of Kwande local government area of Benue State, where about 17 persons died in one swoop attack. And if I tell you Benue is fine, then I may be making some great mistakes. So I will tell you that we're in a mourning mood, because when one life is lost, then something great has happened. So that's the state of Benue now.
No, very sad indeed. I can say that this is not just for Benue, but the whole of North Central is overrun by a new form of carnage led by a faction of Boko Haram. We heard the news a couple of days ago. It's a very sad situation. But let's focus on what we have today, which is a very important issue bordering on the sanctity of elections in Nigeria. Dr. Moses, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio said the House did not reject electronic transmission of results as widely circulated on social media, but what it did was to turn down. What it turned down, I mean to say, was the mandatory real-time electronic transmission. What is COPDEM's response to this development?
Well, it's quite unfortunate to many who may not have studied Nigeria for some time now. But some of us who have gone through the trivials of this country, there is nothing in this country that shakes me anymore. The reasons are just so many, but I will tell you, the fundamental reason is that we have lost a country. Our leaders don't think about this country, and they don't believe in this country. So if I tell you that I am sad over the issue, yes, it's true, but I'm not shocked. Because if you take Nigeria back from the time democracy returned, 1999, then you will believe that the only time Nigeria had a time to smile that leadership is in place was the time of Umar Musa Yar'Adua. But unfortunately, that administration did not last for a long time. That came and we lost him. From that time to this moment, as I speak to you, we have a leadership problem. And so sometimes when you hear decisions like this coming from our leaders who ordinarily would have protected the interests of this country and the future generation, then you know that something is wrong. But COPDEM cannot sit and fold its hand. We will keep talking, we'll talk, we'll give direction, and then we profile solution. If Nigerians are with us, we go for that solution and we'll take back our country. But if majority of Nigerians decide that let it be, then a tree cannot make a forest, so we'll let it be. But for COPDEM, we will continue to talk, and that's the main reason why we are here on this television to discuss the way forward.
The Red Chamber of the National Assembly alluded to poor internet coverage, which might be a possibility in most remote communities. You know, don't you see any tenability around this reason?
I don't think the National Assembly at any moment in time had the right. They don't have that right to kill the hope of Nigerians. The majority of Nigerians elected most of this House of Assembly members, National Assembly members, the senators. Nigerians elected them to represent their interests. It's not just common interests, but to represent the core values of this country on our behalf. My representatives are there in the National Assembly, and I had reasons why I voted then. So at some point in time, when they want to take a decision, I think the best thing to think about is, what is the impact of this decision on our people? For them, they may have some selfish reasons to take their decision, but for us,
Dr. Moses,
yes.
Excuse me, I asked you about the fundamental reason why they took the decision. They said that, yes, they talked about poor internet, and yes, which is a reality. Poor internet connection is a reality. Here, we just talked about it before we kicked off this program. You know, the possibility of unstable network while we are having this discussion. So, don't you think it is a plausible reason or plausible grounds to give INEC the leeway to make decisions regarding the transmission of results?
All right. The decision is not because of poor internet in rural areas. That is not the reason. The reason is, I can call it selfish display of one's interests above the interests of the nation. Okay, if you ask me about the internet problem, are we as a nation supposed to be talking about internet, when we have the resources, we have the money to even pull down the internet down to the hinterland? Don't we have the resources? We have. And sometimes certain facilities are made available as a result of the necessity at play. Because if the people need internet to transmit results, then government has a responsibility to make that internet available everywhere. So they have no reason to say because of internet or poor internet in rural areas, then they decide to kill the electronic transmission of results in real time. It is the duty of the government to make sure that that internet reach to the hinterland. So at no point, no one should tell you that killing that electronic transmission of results in real time is as a result of internet. It's as a result of personal reasons. And these reasons are not far from what we had in 2023. You know, people are just very scared in this country, especially politicians who are not doing well. And let me tell you, the electronic transmission of results, from what I heard at Baribe this evening, from the press conference they just issued out, the bill has not been passed. So some persons just want to manipulate Nigerians. They want to manipulate our minds. From what the senator said, that they were in the session, when these people said they have passed some of these bills, they explained explicitly that that particular bill was not passed. And so they want to test our brains to see if we are very good to remote, to control, then they will remote control us from Abuja. From what I have heard from Abaribe, it means that the bill is still hanging, because he said the processes are not completed yet. And until the processes are completed, because he said the 3 stages where they have deliberated about the electronic transmission of result, from the Senate Committee of Who, from the joint session, and from the ad hoc committee. All this committee, including the recommendation of the committee, were meant to uphold electronic transmission of result, real time. And so the last minute, when this issue was raised yesterday, they never voted for whether that be 2022 that gave room for normal processes to go on, to allow INEC to take discretionary decision whether to transmit result electronic or manually. It was not voted. So I want to tell you, from what I heard the senators deliberate and from their press conference, it means the Senate leadership wanted to test our brain to see whether we can give in. But I will assure you that we can't give in. We cannot. This voice were coming from senators in the session. So who are we to say that the bill has been passed? So I'm telling you that the electronic transmission of result real time is still pending in the Senate until when it is finally passed and senators will approve. Otherwise, the recommendation of the ad hoc committee is there for Senate to deliberate and vote. That is what I will tell you about it. But no one should deceive you that it's as a result of poor internet in our hinterlands that Senate decided to squash the bill. No, that is not true. They are scared because they want to rig election. They want to do what they do in 2023 when INEC announced result. In fact, in the middle of the night, when in recent result on the IRF portal were not even up to 30% loading. So where do they get the figures they announced? Becomes the question we keep asking ourselves. And they want to repeat the same thing because they know that transmission of results electronically will pull them out of this game. And so they don't want it. Look at American election. Myself and you watch the last presidential election. When the result comes in, you know who is leading. At every moment in time, you know who is topping. And if electronic transmission of result pass through the Senate, then I will assure you that 90% of senators you see there will not return back. 70% of House of Reps will not go back. They know this. The president himself won't go back. A lot of politicians will go in abysmal reign. And so we know the secret, and we will keep talking, we will keep pressing until the voice of the masses is upheld. That's just what I can tell you for now.
Right. Keep talking. You know, some people, some Nigerians are advocating for a peaceful, non-violent protest because ordinarily one would expect a frenzy, you know, of noise, noises, amongst Nigerians when this development came about, but it did not happen. So some people are saying Nigerians should come to the streets to hold a non-violent protest, to demand, not just beg, but demand that this be done by our lawmakers. What is your reaction to that? Beyond talking.
Yeah, Mr. Tochukwu, in this country, protest can solve some of the problems, but not all problems. This particular matter that you see, protest alone cannot solve it. Diplomacy can solve it. Radical decision can solve it. Why do I say diplomacy? We have some political parties who are serving as opposition political parties. Do you know that if these political parties decide to fight this particular decision and said we pull out of the election, Nigeria will not have an election. This country will stand down. It's not even to go on the street for people to deploy soldiers who are politicians by inclination. No. You heard the Minister for Defense, General Musa, declaring himself that he is anxious to join in APC. That's to tell you that a lot are happening in our politics. If a military general is interested because he has been appointed a minister for defense, then you know that something is wrong somewhere. So we have to hold the civil society accountable for this if they keep quiet. We have to hold political parties accountable on this particular matter. We have to call international attention on this matter, because if our country is practicing American democracy by principles and practice, then we must follow the footsteps of American democracy. The integrity of every election is the life wire of every democratic system. And so we should not be talking about democracy, American democracy in Nigeria, when we don't want to adopt the principles that will strengthen that democracy. We must abide by all standards. So America is leading us. If we are following the footsteps of America, why can't we adopt this electronic transmission of result? Why? Because that is what is giving America the integrity of all the elections and democratic processes. So why do we choose to practice certain things and call it American style, and then the good part that will develop our country, we don't want to practice it, yet we keep talking about American democracy in practice and what not. So we have to hold the political parties accountable. They have to speak. The civil societies have to speak. Some person who even decide to take the government to court. Let me tell you, the reason why you see this National Assembly taking this kind of radical decision or making this kind of attempt is because they are aware that our judiciary is dead. If our judiciary is alive, then every member of the National Assembly will be very careful. But sometimes they take this decision believing that we don't have judicial system. What we have is judiciary in action when it matters for the government in place. So we have APC judiciary, we have APC legislature. Very soon we have APC executive. Everything is about APC. But the masses, we have to speak. So we may not go into protest now, because from what is coming from the Senate, it means this bill has not finally been passed. It is the Senate leadership that want to play chess with us. And I tell you, I know, instead of utmost certainty that Abaribe and the host of the senators I saw during that press conference are very serious. And we must join them. If we join them, then something positive will happen. The Senate president will retrace his steps, because he is not there for Nigerians. He is there for the president. He is there for the executive. And he has even blanketed the entire separation of power, which our system recommends. So if there is no separation of power between the legislative and the executive arm of government, then know that something is wrong somewhere. So I am not, I'm not scared. Immediately I heard that press conference, I almost called you and asked you to boot off this program, because nothing has happened. And I assure you, nothing will happen. The electronic transmission of result will be upheld.
So is COPDEM supporting mass protest, nonviolent protest, to demand this action from our lawmakers or not?
Yes, COPDEM will do that. We will support that. We will support that.
Okay, because it baffles me, something else, it baffles me that in the House, in the National Assembly, we have the lawmakers, and each of them represents a constituency in Nigeria, in our local communities. Now, it is taken for granted that if a lawmaker advocates or supports an idea, the whole of the people in the lawmaker's constituency, it is taken for granted that these people support that particular idea. Now, in this case, if we all agree that the rejection of the mandatory real-time transmission of results is something that is rejected by most Nigerians. But and then we have a process of recall, which is another power at the disposal of the masses beyond the power of election. So what I'm asking you is, why are the masses not utilizing their constitutional rights, especially the process of recall, to call back their lawmaker and then give them advice? I want this, I don't want this. Why is it not happening amongst the masses now in Nigeria?
Right. It's quite unfortunate. That's a very fundamental question. Now, I'll take you back to the theory of Karl Marx. Make the people perpetually poor. When you make them poor, you can work on their psyche. The essence why we have majority helpless individuals in this country is as a result of poor leadership. And they are doing this thing purposely not to empower the majority, not to empower the masses, because they know that if the masses are empowered, then something will happen. And a typical Nigerian politician would never want people in his constituency to grow bigger. They would not want to empower them. They would not want to make them have this understanding that they have the power. And they have destroyed the institution that will even give credence to the actions of the majority. Now, the recall you are talking about, in the Nigerian system, in our democracy, looking at the nature of the Independent National Electoral Commission we have, pocketed by the judiciary, the executive, how do you think recall will be possible? We have a poor system, a system that does not even keep records. Look at the issue that happened in Kogi when the recall of Senator Natasha was put in place. Do you know that INEC did not even have the required records of the legitimate constituent members to do the recall, to conduct the recall? Now, this is an independent body. Where are the records? They don't have the records. It will baffle you that the same INEC that conducted 2023 election may not even have the records of a constituent in your place, in your constituency. Now look at how long it took these people. Look at how long it took these people to transmit a result after stealing that election. It later took them more than 6 months to upload the result to IREF. That's to tell you that we don't have institutions that are functional. And so the issue of recall should not even come in, because the Independent National Electoral Commission does not have the requisite power. They don't have the resources. They don't have the intelligence. In fact, they don't have the capacity to conduct recall. They will take money and abandon everything. This is an agency that ordinarily supposed to be independent. But are you telling me this INEC is independent? People who are taking decisions under the direction of the president. If the president said, don't do this, they don't do it. Look at the registration of political parties recently. Until President Tinubu traveled outside the country before Yakubu was able to even admit to a political new association to be registered as political parties. But when the president came back to the country, what did he do? He had to force this man to go on what? Voluntary vacation. How do you call it? Forced leave. That should proceed on leave because he had to register this association into political parties. And so how do you want me to have that confidence in INEC? It's very difficult because the system is corrupt. INEC is not independent. This is just a sham body constituted by the executive, answerable to the executive, responsible for the rot of democracy in our country. I tell you, even if you allow INEC to transmit results electronically, unless we force it, we force them to do that. Otherwise, they will still tell you that they don't have the resources, the capacity. But when they are giving budget for election, it runs into billions. What do they normally do with that money? And someone is telling me there is no communication, there is no internet in the local environment? Even if there are no internet in local environment, don't we have devices that can take record of all these things and upload via the INEC server? INEC ordinarily can make provision for internet to go into every community. Once electronic transmission or result is put into place, it is now the duty of the government to ensure that every house, every location, every community in Nigeria has internet. So when you talk about recall, my brother, I used to laugh because the institution that is responsible to discipline politicians is even the one telling politicians the areas they need to rig. They are the one advising politicians how to distort the entire electronic electioneering process. So you don't have confidence in them. And until civil society organizations, until politicians, political parties would take it up, this institution will not work. Until we take it very hard on our legislatures, they will not work. Until we take it very hard on INEC, INEC will not work. Until we take it very hard on judiciary. Otherwise, I tell you, the system is collapsing. And if we take it kindly, the entire system will collapse. Because I am not seeing any progressive that we are moving ahead. Imagine 21st century, when small countries like countries that we were even ahead of them years back, have conducted electronic transmission of result effectively, successfully. Coming to Nigeria, someone is telling you internet. Is that not a shame on that particular legislature that make that kind of statement? They're supposed to hide their faces in shame. Where was Ghana 15 years back? Where is Ghana today? What about South Africa? We are here talking about internet. It's a shame to this country when they are even using MTN, which is South African internet. So we don't even have what is our own. Imagine we have a problem with South Africa today. South Africa will just cut us off, and we are knocked off. Is that a country that should be talking? Oh, it's a shame.
All right, Dr. Moses. Many Nigerians lost trust in the former INEC chair, Professor Mahmood Yakub. The new INEC boss, Professor Joash Amopitan, has promised fair elections, but with the Senate rejecting mandatory electronic transmission, what realistic expectations should Nigerians have for his leadership ahead of the 2027 polls? Let's hear your thoughts on that. What are Nigerians expecting him?
When you mention Professor Amopitan, it sounds to me like you are mentioning the worst of Professor Mahmood. Oh yes, Amopitan has been an APC man from day one. Are you not aware of that? Even, I think somebody wrote a petition against him when they wanted to confirm him in the Senate, that he was in one of the APC, I think those that even drafted the manifesto of APC, and then he also participated in the constitution of the party. So if you have Amopitan now as the INEC chairman, are you expecting any result different from what you had, the worst you had from Mahmood? There is no hope. I am telling you that until we stand up, there is no hope. The INEC chairman you have in place will even do worst. I tell you, Mahmood may be regretting somewhere now, but watch and see. Amopitan may even announce the winner of the election even before vote will commence. I am not exaggerating. You see this appointees of Tinubu's administration, don't even keep your hope on any of them, because there is nothing good coming out of this administration. So one, if the head is corrupt, in a normal system, if the head is corrupt, what will happen to the body politics? If the head of the administration is corrupt, Where are you expecting sanity? Where? Tell me. Somebody that went ahead forcing the tax law, a forged tax law on us, was it not passed from the Senate? And I think some senators even punctured it that the law that was passed, the act, the bill that was passed into law wasn't the actual bill they passed. That is why I tell you that we need to sit up now. Otherwise, the same thing, they forced the tax law on us. That was a playbook to see if we are reactionary. So this time, we are not going to rest. We will resist it vehemently. We will say no to it. Because Nigerians are good at talking, but this time, even if nobody said a thing, even if the entire civil society organizations remain quiet, Cobden as the pillar of good governance will not remain quiet. We will take it up. If possible, we can even resort to consulting international media to ensure that we bring down good governance into this country. I assure you, Cobden is ready to do that. And let me tell you, that is one of the reasons why Cobden had to pitch tent with ADC. Because looking at the ideologies of the recent ADC, it's possible to presume that the ADC is coming with a new hope for Nigerians. And Cobden being a pillar of good governance, we are ready to sacrifice to ensure that we install good governance, even if it's not from ADC. Any political engagement we find ourselves, we will ensure that there is good governance. So Nigerians should not have any high hope on the new INEC chairman. It's just a waste of hope. Nothing good will come out of this government.
I have seen intellectual critics like Professor Chidi Odinkalo, who he's one of the very few intellectuals who criticize hard-boiled critics of the judiciary in Nigeria. I've watched him on television say that he had been a friend of the new INEC chair. He knows him. He's a good man. He's a just man. But then he said, there's a caveat to this, that the corrupt system might also corrupt the good mind of Joash Amopitan. What do you say about that?
I have told you, see, Carlos should just keep his hope alive, not on the INEC chairman. I am telling you this thing. I have cited an example when I mentioned the new Minister for Defense. He was doing well. Yes or no? Yes. Immediately, he was reappointed by Mr. President. His body language has suddenly changed. And he's tilting towards a corrupt system of APC. Anything that is associated with APC will not give you a positive result. It's not a curse, but it's a political party that houses a lot of crude individuals. And they don't think about the country. They think about themselves. They are not after the country. If these people are after the country, then by now our judicial system would be #1 in the world. But where are we? You were in this country in 2023. You had the judicial process, the tribunal that adjudicate the election of Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You heard the judgment of the lead team. In fact, I have taken his name out of my mind. That lead justice. At some point, anytime I mention his name in my heart, I feel ashamed of myself, being a citizen of this country. We were raped in a broad daylight. Elections were rigged. Evidence were presented. But what do they resort to? Technicalities. So why will you even keep hope on institutions that don't even give hope to the common people? Just keep your hope to God. When it comes to any appointee of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, don't expect any positive thing. I'm telling you this thing for certainty. Just take this thing from me. Watch and see what 2027 will give to this country. You will feel like leaving this country and head to Guatemala. You prefer to live in Guatemala Bay than to stay in Nigeria. Because this country offers no hope for its citizen. So for me, I don't keep that hope for the INEC chairman until when I see it. That's when I know. What promise did Mahmoud never give to this country? You were here when
Dr. Moses. Dr. Moses.
How do you call it? Assuring them. But at the end of the day, those memos were tendered in the court, but they denied. They wrote and informed us that we should not relent, that they are going to.
Dr. Moses Anungu, are you still there? Oh, I think we have lost connection with him. We'll try logging back in. Right, you're still watching. Dr. Moses,
when conditions were not even halfway. Okay. Conditions were not up to 30% of the figure, the entire total figure in the quite unfortunate.
All right, I've gotten your point. Now, there are other provisions, or should I say alterations, to the new Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Vote buying is also a cankerworm which has recently crept into our elections. And there is no doubt that the next election, we're going to witness that very menace again. But the provision is that the Senate rejected the 10-year jail term proposal, but then it raised the number of years. The guilty ones will stay in jail from 2 to, the amount, the fine they will pay from 2 million to 5 million, and or 2 years in jail. So we also have alterations to the electoral calendar. Do you see other provisions apart from the electoral real-time transmission of results? Do you see them as a good development?
Now, you now agree with me that the aim of our leaders is to benefit themselves. What our leaders are always thinking is for their interests. Now, they have jettisoned 10-year imprisonment, right? But they upheld, they have increased the amount to be paid. That's to tell you that these people are scared of 10 years imprisonment because they have stockpiled the money to buy votes. They have stockpiled the money to buy vote. And they are ready to buy vote because paying 5 million for 1 million people will not even be a big deal for them. But they are scared of the jail term. But ordinarily, they are not even supposed to be scared. Because one, we don't have a judiciary system in place to judge people and then punish them accordingly. The only time I remember someone was punished for election fraud was in 2019, when Professor Peter Ogban, who stole election for Senator Goswe Akpabio, I think he was prosecuted and jailed for 3 years. That is 2019. From that time, it's very difficult to say Nigerian judiciary has passed that kind of judgment. Very rare. Now, this is the same man who benefited from a stolen mandate. 2019, when Senator Akpabio won that election, me and you know that was a stolen mandate. But after the judiciary passed the verdict, jailed the same man that stole that election for him, they did not nullify the election. True or false? True. He completed his 4th term. But this is someone that the court has certified that his election was fraudulent. So if they had punished Professor Peter Ogbon, why didn't they nullify the election? Now, these are the controversial issues our judicial system will normally create. These are bad precedents. And just 2023, because Akpabio had benefited from a crude system, he obtained presidential phone, obtained Senate phone, resigned from presidential primaries, went back and contested Senate. And the Abuja Federal High Court upheld his candidature.
Dr. Nungu, are you still there?
For a country, someone who is benefiting from fraudulent processes. So, see, there is nothing you can tell me about this country that will give me hope until we take it by force. We have to take it by force. We have to force these people to do the right thing because we are the majority. And if we keep quiet, they keep oppressing us. It is time to speak now, not only to speak, but to act now.
All right, now, let me just squeeze in my last question. You talked about diplomacy initially, and subsequently, you progressed to civil action, nonviolent action. COPDEM supports it. Now, what exactly will COPDEM do differently this time to ensure that our lawmakers do our bidding in the coming days? Should in case our lawmakers fail to actually pass this law, what will COPDEM do? Or what does COPDEM expect Nigerians to do?
COPDEM will not expect Nigerians to do otherwise. COPDEM will lead. Now, number one, I mentioned diplomacy. We will talk. We will request the right thing to be done. We will force the legislature to do the right thing. We will compel them. They are representing our interests. They are not representing their interests. They are representing the interests of the majority. And so the majority will speak and demand accountability. And what I mean by accountability, democratic accountability. We would request the integrity of our democracy not to be tampered with. We will initiate grassroots, we will mobilize at the grassroots. And when we mobilize at the grassroots, we will demand accountability from our representatives. And if they fail, it is only when they fail that we will take a violent action. We will stage protest. And I know why I mentioned violent. We will not stage a violent one, but Nigerian security believe in violence, so they will provoke us. And when they provoke us, the protest, the peaceful protest we will adopt will turn violent, but we will not resist. We will not back down. We will proceed until, see, let me tell you, the electronic transmission of result is sacrosanct. There is no dilly-dally business in this. Whether any legislature passed the entire bills that has to do with Electoral Act, provided the electronic transmission of result is not passed, is effort in futility. Just as you have mentioned, that is not just the only bill they tampered with. They claim to have passed a bill that warrant INEC to publish a list of political parties to contest election. I think they have reduced the 360 days for publication to 90 days. That is another bill they passed, when INEC will now give room for political parties to submit list of their candidates. That is not all. They equally stamped down the use of smart card readers and upheld the use of beavers. That is not all. I think there is another thing, clause 49, which they repeal. I think that's a clause that has to do with the smart card reader, when they upheld the use of beavers. And then I think there is another bill which they claim to have passed into law. But all these things were just meant to calm down the minds of Nigerians. And if you see very well, after passing all this bill into law, Akpabio now announced that Senate has not stamped the electronic transmission of a result, but they have upheld it to maintain the status quo. The question is, what has been the status quo? That's a normal 2022 electoral law that permits manual transmission at the discretion of INEC. So you see that they were just playing with the minds of Nigerians, because they know that all our minds, the essence of initiating the amendments of the Electoral Act, basically was the issue of electronic transmission of results. So whatsoever happens, if they want, they should leave all other clauses and pass this electronic transmission result alone. Our electoral system is okay. Our democracy will be stable. So I'm telling you, we will go gradually. We will not start with protest. We will demand accountability. We will hold press conferences. We will engage the media. We will engage civil society organizations. We will engage international organizations. We will engage the political parties. But if all this engagement fail to yield the positive result, then we will take the issue of protest as the last resort. But I tell you, to not get to that. And they will react. They will pass that law, because majority of the senators are ready that results should be transmitted electronically in real time. So let me calm the nerves of Nigerians that from the press release by Abaribe Ayinaya, it means that our hope is still intact. So there is no problem yet. That's the hope I can give to Nigerians.
All right. My mind has chanced upon one more question before you leave. I spoke with one of media aides to Peter Obi, Mr. Peter Obi. I know that COPDEM, is vouching for him. He's throwing his weight behind him. The media aide to Peter Obi told me, I was discussing with him about what, between political strategy and electoral reform, which one was more plausible and effective. He said both of them were effective, were needed, but then he placed political strategy above electoral reform. He said, supposing Atiku Abubakar and all other political heavyweights in the ADC, supposing they support Peter Obi, and then Peter Obi becomes or clinches the ADC ticket, that it will be hard for the APC to rig elections, because if they do so, the backlash that will come from these opposition forces would be too hard for them to take or to overcome. But electoral reform, it will be hard for a camel to pass through an eye of a needle than for that to happen in our Nigeria today. So what do you think if eventually this does not happen and Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi clinches the ADC ticket, do you think that will be comfort to the lost?
Okay, thank you. That's a good question. But if you ask me to give my personal opinion, I will tell you that I prefer electoral reform first. Because whether we like it or not, if we have strong electoral reforms, then anybody can win an election in this country, provided the masses believe in that person. If we have, in fact, if our electoral reforms are tightened to promote democratic integrity, then a truck pusher can win election. That is it. But if we don't have strong electoral reforms, then even the strongest candidate can be rigged out. If you ask me, not that the last 2022 election was won by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. No, he did not win that election. You know, but the process, the loopholes in our electoral process gave room for INEC to announce him prematurely. And because they believe that the judiciary is even has nothing to do over the announcement, they go ahead. But if, for instance, we have strong electoral reform, one of it which we are debating today, if that is put in place, do you think Mahmoud would have that temerity to rob Nigerians of their choices? He wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have made that kind of attempt. But already they perceive that our electioneering processes are not strong enough. So he went ahead. So for me, I would prefer strong electoral reforms in place. When you have strong electoral reforms, you now have strong individuals in the system. They need to make the whole thing very simple. Take the case of United States election won by Donald Trump. The electoral process were strengthened, very, very much strengthened to a point that the ruling party, the sitting government, did not have the power to rig. That's the power of strong reforms. Even the president will not even have the right to order INEC to make any announcement if the reforms are strong, because everybody will watch everything live. So if you announce anything, you are looking for anarchy. Before the announcement of the election, Joe Biden knew that Donald Trump won the election. The same thing happened in Ghana. So let's think about strong electoral reform first. Then we now talk about strong individuals.
Right. Dr. Moses Anungu, Chairman of Coalition for the Protection of Democracy, COPDEM, in Benue State, ADC State Organizing Secretary and Director of Mobilization for Civil Societies and Progressive Engagements in the state. It was nice to have spoken with you for the first time on DDM TV. Thank you very much for your contribution and time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tochukwu. It's nice having your time here.
All right, viewers, I hope you love this show. If you do not hesitate to make your comments in the comment section. Click on the like button, share this video and subscribe to DDM TV. I'm Tosh Raphael Ultra saying see you again for a fresh edition next time.